Good morning. This is another of the alignment series of videos that I'm doing to help try to condense some of the key strategic findings that I've made across the decades in the packaging industry, so that anybody with any level of understanding about the industry can use these to drop in and solve or be able to lead teams in packaging with success. I call it the alignment blueprint. It's how to build packaging that actually works, and it's taken from all of the conversations with packaging leaders, the research and real world practice that I've experienced over the years. So this is talking about the noise before the clarity. So every week, another company promises to fix packaging. Progress can remain slow. It's not because we have a packaging problem, we have an alignment problem. So all of the issues that we see happening across our businesses, packaging or otherwise, are a result of a misalignment somewhere. A better way of explaining this is what I call the 1 degree problem. If a plane is coming into land on final approach and it is 1 degree off, it's not that it will miss the landing, it will miss the runway by 500 feet. And if you think about how that applies to businesses today, we are miles away from where we're trying to be. So the 1 degree problem is saying, bear in mind the fact that little differences matter. They lead to exponential issues from little small drifts. A simple way of looking at misalignment is just everybody's pulling in different directions. So we might have the same ultimate corporate goal, but the way that the different teams go about achieving that goal might be slightly different, slightly different, slightly different. And those degrees, one by one, are sending you into a completely different direction. There's 3 lenses that I like to deploy when I'm looking into how to realign. Every successful project or strategy that I've seen in the industry over the years has had 3 things in common. It's been simple, easy to understand, simple to manage, to run, to explain. It has used time efficiently. So rather than just giving a deadline, which tends to lead to a lower quality end result, time is used to sharpen the focus. And then communication. This is the really fundamental one, and it is very simple. Again, with simplicity, but in communications case, it is making sure that the person that you are speaking to understands. It's all about making the person understand, or the market understand, or the people that you are speaking to understand. It's not about whether I understand what I'm talking about or what I'm sending, because that's usually a given. But where we fall down is that when we're communicating, we don't make sure the other person understands. So simplicity is where every great strategy starts. If it isn't simple, it isn't scalable. If it's simple, it'll be easier to manage, to understand. It's easier for people to get behind and understand why they're doing it. It builds trust because we understand what we can see. It feels like it is going to be more achievable. It doesn't feel complex or hard. It doesn't sound like something that is going to be difficult to achieve. Time can be the greatest ally or the worst enemy. If we move from deadline-driven to direction-driven, progress can become more sustainable, and direction beats deadlines. Where possible, it's always good to not use time as an added dimension because it won't improve the quality of what's being done. It can, at times, be used as a very invaluable tool in order to get things done by a specific deadline. But if there isn't a particular need, or you haven't led yourself into a position where there is only a finite amount of time left to solve the problem, it is best to keep time out of the equation. And communication. If people don't understand your message, they're not going to be able to understand what it is that you're talking to them, selling to them, discussing with them, and alignment doesn't stand a chance. One way of looking at alignment is as a fairly simple equation. When you combine simplicity, time, and communication, everything clicks into place. So alignment in this case equals simplicity plus time plus communication. The blueprint, at its very simplest, is to, one, define, make sure that you have shared definitions. Understanding really flows from everybody knowing what it is that they're talking about. If you want an example of what this looks like when not done right, ask a room full of people for their definition of sustainable packaging or circular economy or recyclable. And you will see very quickly that even though everybody has a definition, it may not be the same definition. And if you have a universal definition, it makes it much easier for everybody to speak the same language. Align. If you map where strategy and the messaging diverge, that will give you the areas where there's misalignment or problems. And if you have a strategy and messaging that are aligned, then you won't have the downstream problems that we see regularly in businesses today. Simplify, reduce complexity. If there is a pyramid or a hierarchy of needs or wants or fulfillments, that can be applied. Stay as high up as you possibly can. Make sure that the solution is the fewest steps, the easiest to update and make happen. Make it simple. Make it simple to understand. If it is something that an outsider or a child would be able to easily grasp, then you're well on your way. If it is something that is full of jargon and technical and very difficult to understand, then it's going to be very hard for the other person to pick up what it is that you're trying to transfer to them. Communicate, build clarity loops, make sure that people understand. Measure, you've got to track the alignment, not just the activity. So it's not enough for me to say, well, I did 10 hours of work today because I sent a lot of emails and I created a lot of presentations and I generated a lot of content. If all of that is just me doing things without it landing, without it messaging, without it transferring to somebody else, then I haven't actually done anything. I have created a lot of things, which is its own version of a reward, but it's not going to necessarily align or move me to where I'm trying to get to. So tracking the alignment is always very beneficial. Alignment isn't luck. The companies that do the best in this is not by accident, it's by design. So when everything does align, it'll land smoothly every single time. Your plans, your strategies, your ideas, your projects will all come in when they're supposed to, as they're supposed to, and be very successful. Clarity plus coherence plus consistency, that's the way to land the plane. Thoughts for the future? Very briefly, it's not going to be won by those who shout the loudest. It's going to be by those who stay the most aligned. When you are aligned, if you think of it as a river, currently, you may have problems like cost or materials or regulatory issues, or there might be consumer issues, there might be supply chain issues, wherever they appear in your business. What we're doing at the moment is trying to solve those problems. But those problems themselves are based on something that is happening upstream. So if you can close off the leak, if you can send the water so it's not being drained away and lost to one side, that downstream problem that you've been facing today will actually resolve itself because it will no longer have the opportunity to build upon the misalignment that has generated it. So clarity creates progress, alignment sustains it. If you have any questions about this, my email is matthew@thepackscout.com. Always happy to talk to anybody about communication and alignment, but here is to hoping that everybody has the opportunity today to take the little simple steps that are needed to be more in alignment. Thank you.